The new net zero standard is absolutely critical if we're going to see the real economy align with the emissions reductions required under the Paris Agreement. For companies, it's vital that actions taken today are aligned with the technology for their specific sector and the feasible pathway for them to cut emissions, not just over the next 30 years, but also over the next 5 to 10 years. And the new standard includes the setting of interim targets that will be vital to help boards and management understand what they need to be doing today. For financial institutions, there will be ever increasing pressure from regulators and from their own shareholders to demonstrate an understanding of what they are funding in the real economy, the emissions and the actions being taken by their clients. For investors who have an additional responsibility as the owners of companies, the net zero standard is going to provide further support for engagement with the boards that those shareholders appoint and the management of companies. It's only with the transparency and the rigor that the net zero standard will bring for investors to work with companies to deliver the decarbonisation those investors themselves are promising to their clients and to their underlying beneficiaries. So for the investment community, the net zero standard really will be a benchmark and a watershed in being able to invest around the transition of the real economy. For investors, the net zero standard is going to provide two additional vital anchors for their own work in decarbonising portfolios and delivering on promises that those investors have made to clients and beneficiaries. The first is there is an increasing focus in the investment community on the disclosure of 5-year climate action plans by companies, specific actions that boards and management are committing to decarbonise those organisations. But without the pathways and the framing of the net zero standard, it will be impossible for any institution to understand whether commitments and actions that are being promised are actually going to deliver real-world decarbonisation at the pace that is required for specific companies and sectors. Secondly, and ultimately most importantly, whilst plans are important, what is really vital is that we're increasingly able to measure the actual emissions reductions being delivered by companies and whether those are in line with the science and the Paris Agreement. The net zero standard will be the global benchmark against which actual emissions reductions will be measured. And ultimately, many changes in the global economy, such as the linking of corporate remuneration to climate targets and delivery, will be dependent entirely on the net zero standard, giving that pathway against which company performance can be measured.